Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. With the new update coming soon, it seems like there is pieces of news being put on all different types of media when it comes to War Thunder. And for the first time, I think, we've actually had a little bit of a teaser through a YouTube short. Now, YouTube shorts are generally not great in my opinion, not a huge fan of them, but they are ways of getting quick information out there and also to hype a few little things up. And when it comes to War Thunder, looks like the same thing is happening. What we find from the YouTube short is, of course, the Skink. Now, the Skink is a vehicle that many have been looking forward to for a long time, including myself. I've made at least one video talking about the Skink and how it would be super useful for the British tech tree in the past, mainly because they didn't really have anything which kind of filled the gap of its mid-tier AAs. Nowadays they have the Istavak, which is very nice, but at the same time it would always be good to see the Skink as well. If you don't know what the Skink is, it is a vehicle which is based off the Grizzly tank. Now, the Grizzly tank is a licensed, produced version of the American Sherman built by the Canadians. It has its own unique turret on top of it and also is armed with the 20mm pulsed guns. It has 4 of them in a quad mount in the turret. Basically what these are, they are a low-cost development of the Swiss-made 20mm Oerlikon autocannon. It was simpler and much cheaper to produce. The Oerlikon itself had 250 parts that it was made out of, where the Polston was 119 parts, and it also cost about a fifth to actually produce the thing. So this will have very similar characteristics to the general Oerlikon that you've seen. It can fire HE, it can fire AP rounds, and they come in 30-round box-type magazines. So you'll basically have a setup where you can fire 120 rounds before you'll have to reload all of the guns in general. But the basics of this vehicle is this will be a mid-tier AA coming to, or hopefully coming to, the British tech tree. Because the fact that this thing is based off a Grizzly or based off a Sherman, technically it could also come to the American tech tree, but the Skink was Canadian, it was built by Canada, it was tested in Britain, and it was used by Canadian forces when it came to 1944, or I should say 1945, since it wasn't really finalized until then. It actually was supposed to be designed for AA, but guess what? By the end of the war, the Luftwaffe was pretty much done for. There wasn't many German planes flying around, so instead, it was actually used for anti-infantry purposes. In War Thunder, it'll be used for, of course, anti-air purposes mainly. Even with the AP, it's not going to pen too much with this 20mm. The closest vehicle to this will probably be the Wirbelwind. The only difference between it and the Skink is, of course, that the Skink will have a bit of extra armor, and also you probably won't be able to overpressure it, since it does actually have a fully encased turret. The vehicle itself is 28 tons, so it's quite heavy. It has also 5 crew in it, the commander, driver, also machine gunner, loader. It is powered by a 400 horsepower engine and can move around at about 40 kilometers an hour. It even has a whole 30 cal in it, which is kind of interesting as well, just on top of it. And the armor is, of course, very similar to what you would find on a Sherman, so overall not too shabby. But it's just a vehicle that has been kind of missing for a long time in War Thunder, and it's been really nice over this last year to see a bunch of vehicles which many have requested over the years, stuff like the Elephant, of course. The B-26 is probably the big one from this year that many have requested, to finally come to the game. The last one, I would say, at least on my personal list, without going for any of the hectic crazy ones, is of course the Stug 4. The Stug 4 still is not in the game, still sat somewhere else, but with the Skink as an addition, it is fantastic to see. Now, there's always going to be a debate which tech tree should get the Skink, but the debate is silly, because it should never go to the American tech tree. The only reason to put it in the American tech tree is because of the idea that it was based off an M4A1 chassis. even though it was built by the Canadians and once again tested by the British. It was used by the Commonwealth forces, it wasn't used by the American forces. Everything about this is Canadian/British, not really particularly American. The two general ideas which would be nice for it would be if it either went in both tech trees, in the form of the American tech tree and the British tech tree, or it just went in the British tech tree. America already has a ton of AAs, and also, if you've read any of Honeycutt's work, or if you've read any other books on the subject, you'll know that America has a ton of other AAs they can add to the area that the Skink will be sat in. So now it just hopefully will come to the British tree, and they also talked about earlier, when it came to some of the Gaijin guys, that there was going to be a vehicle that people have been asking for a long time, and won't really change the meta, won't really blow anybody away, but will, be nice to see. And it looks like this one is going to be the Grizzly. Oh, sorry, the Skink, not the Grizzly. So for Canadian vehicles, it's fantastic to see. For the British tech tree, it's fantastic to see. And hopefully people enjoy this one. It's definitely one which I think is going to be fantastic. Hopefully now we can just get some British aircraft involved as well, since there hasn't been too many of them of recently. But with the AA defence now strong for Britain, maybe the need for it is a little bit less. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Nicholas Richardson, Elove Goat, Pyman675, Winter Scientist, Merciless Reaper, Jerry Prevolt, Megadino King, Orange Tail, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Moxie, B. Young, Uncle Bean, Sem Arslan, Derek R., Bareen, Lafouche, and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.